Hey everyone, this is a segment I like to call Three Things, where I take a Kanye song and talk about the three things I appreciate most about that song. Uh, this is the third one that I've done, the first one being Family Business, the second Pinocchio Story, and now Only One, which all very emotional and dealing with family. Because even Pinocchio Story, while it's a lot about materialism, gets into the death of Donda West, which happened in 2007, and was Kanye kind of sharing how he was feeling in 2008. So much of 808s and Heartbreak was that topic. And that's the first thing about Only One is I really appreciated hearing this was January 1st, 2015 the song came out. An updated perspective that Kanye had on his relationship with his mom's passing. You know, my dad had passed in June of 2008, and then my mom in July of 2012. So I'd always kind of connected with Kanye on that level, and seeing him process his emotions is always kind of at least interesting to me, as I can put it up against the processing of my own emotions. And sometimes his perspective on it helps my perspective on it, or sometimes his perspective isn't my perspective, but you take comfort from the sources where you take comfort. So actually Only One, the first time that I heard it, I didn't know what was going on. I just thought it was Kanye singing to North. And I was like, oh, this is just a typical Kanye single that's very like superficial and not doing as much as his album tracks do, right? And kind of left it off to itself. And there goes the cat. A couple days later, I came back to it and really listened to it and was like, oh, oh, this is from Donda's perspective. And just that little switch was enough to make me really love the song. But there's so many little Easter eggs going on and little moments that I think are more meaningful the more you know about Kanye. Uh, like her calling him Mari, which is Kanye Omari West. And the fact that Only One is actually the meaning of Kanye. It's actually, you can see the Genius annotation talking about it. It comes from this book, Raising Kanye, that's written by Donda. And she talks about picking the name, and they have the full section here. But it meant only one, and Omari meant wise man. So that was pretty cool. And just real fast, I was looking at the back cover of the book. What's that say? As his mother, I support Kanye without exception. I don't always agree with every action or reaction, but I know that even when he makes mistakes, he will learn from them. He is the kind of person who learns and grows from every experience. He overcomes every challenging situation, and in the end, he becomes a better person. That's as relevant today as it was back then. Like, Donda knew her son, and I think it's just as true today as it is then. And that's what a lot of his friends have said about him too. That, yeah, he may not always say things that they agree with or say things in the best way, but they know he's coming from a good place. Dave Chappelle's said that about Kanye a lot. So there's a few things you can learn from Raising Kanye that come up in this track. And Only One was actually something that Kanye had made sure to insert into Pinocchio Story. And there is no Geppetto to guide me, no one right beside me. The only one was behind me. I can't find her no more. I can't call her no more. I can't. The only one that come out on tour and stays back when I was living at home. Like, damn. So he takes his name, Kanye, Only One, and turns it to be about her rather than how she felt about him, which is something that may not mean much to us, but I'm sure how Kanye wrote those lines and said them, it was something that was really meaningful to him in that moment. So him saying Only One is a reference back to that, but also a reference to himself and the reminder of self that this song brings to it. We know from Life of Pablo that Kanye was dealing with as he had been, but dealing really with fame eating at him, and that dynamic between living the celebrity life and the pull of celebrity life, the allure of celebrity life, and having a wife and having a daughter and being a family man, having a son at that point. And I think that you can see some of those tensions just coming in, especially because Life of Pablo is so much too about his relationship with God, which is something he talked about early on in College Dropout, and I don't think as much in Late Registration, but it's completely absent from Graduation, 808s, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Yeezus. Even with I Am a God, the relationship's very superficial. But by the time we get to Life of Pablo, that's coming back into Kanye's life. And then God is such a huge, huge, huge part of Kids See Ghost, and having that connection with God as a way to help you through. And it doesn't have to be God. I'm not a religious person, but just some sort of faith, whatever that means to you, whatever God means to you. But that relationship to something bigger is so important in getting through the struggles that Kanye and Kid Cudi detail on Kids See Ghost. And that being such a key component of the Life of Pablo as well, that sense of doubt and getting over that doubt and reconnecting with your faith, having his mom appear as an angel and talking to him and reassuring him when she hasn't been around and has just been a void for close to a decade at this point. You can kind of see that how this song foreshadows that reconnection between Kanye and faith. And we know from his Charlemagne the God interview that he talked about confidence and the slipping of confidence, and having moments where even him as Ye gets worried because he was in the simulation and worried about other people, and that confidence would dip. And he didn't have his number one fan, Donda, there for so long. So when she says, and if you know how proud I was, you'd never shed a tear, have a fear, no, you wouldn't do that. And man, I just feel like so many of the little themes of this, or moments of this, tease what we would see be the major themes on Kanye's next couple albums, Life of Pablo, Ye, and Kids See Ghost. So I think that's really cool, and just getting to hear him talk about this post-mortem relationship he's now able to have with his mom through faith, and having gone through his grieving and coming to this point, I feel like there's something very cathartic here. The second point is the second hook. We actually talk about this a lot in the podcast, how one of the cool things that Kanye does, and it's nothing groundbreaking, it's just one of those little, I think it's just something that artists operating not just on the superficial level or the one-dimensional level, just adding that second dimension and that nuance and depth to a song or a project in any way. It happens when you repeat an element, but the context changes a bit because of the verse. And the verse or the lyrics might be the same in the hook from the first time to the second time to the third time, but the more context we get throughout the song, or maybe just how you phrase things leading into the hook, changes how we view it. So on the first one, we have Donda saying, "So I can say, hello, my only one, just like the morning sun." And then in the second verse, she says, "I know it's not the end every time I see your face," referring to North, "and I hear you say," which makes this hook, Felix is back, which makes this hook Kanye speaking. And that Kanye is now, God, make me tear up. That's right, Felix. That's right. "Hello, my only one. Remember who you are. You got the world because you got love in your hands." This is just kind of emotional for me at this point as I get married soon. And recently I've been just thinking, my parents won't be there to be able to share this moment, have these moments. So this is something that I will experience myself one day. So you got the world because you got love in your hands, and you're still my chosen one. And Kanye saying this to North, the words that he knows his mom would say to him. And he knew how much his mom meant to him and what she instilled in him and did for him to make him be the best person he could be, to make him great, to make him yay. And here he is wanting to do that for North, having the ability to do that because Donda did that for him. And there's just something really cool from just including that word, I hear you say, or that phrase, I hear you say, that changes that whole meaning and then puts it in context of the first time we hear the hook, but then puts into that, I was the child, but now I'm the parents saying this, and I'm able to say. So all of that's just very dynamic and adds just dimensionality to an otherwise very simple song and causes it to expand. And then the third thing, which I just think is a good lesson for what makes Kanye's production so different from others. And again, it's not anything groundbreaking. It's not anything others haven't done in their careers. It's not like Kanye's the only producer to do this, but I think it's just something that Kanye does consistently that makes his songs so fascinating. And that's, if you listen to this with a good set of headphones on, actually any set of headphones, just headphones, you can hear a lot of the nuance in the production, whether it's little bursts of sound here or there, little echoes to what he says, other voices coming in here, maybe a layer coming in for just a little bit that adds a different kind of tone to a stretch. So instead of just having one element or two elements at play, you'll end up having 3, 4, 5 kind of working together at once, or elements that may appear for just certain moments and never come back again, but just add little pops of sound. And that's one of the things that I appreciate so much from Kanye's production, because listening to Kanye as much as we end up doing for the podcast, it's hard to listen to other music because other music can end up being very one-dimensional to me, where it's just the same thing. And being in the place that we are with the podcast, we end up hearing a lot of music by, just people trying to make it as artists. And, on Twitter, you just have people hit you up with like, listen to my song. And often the main thing that I think is like, they need one more element here or 3 more elements to make the production as fascinating as it is on a Kanye song. So I think if you listen to this with that in mind, you can see how it would have been one-dimensional. And in a very easy way, maybe easier than a lot of Kanye's album songs, look at the little things that he adds to the production to make it more robust than what it would otherwise be, and more dynamic. And these little moments just do enough to make the song feel, I think, more than what it otherwise would be if it was just simpler in its production or just a straight lullaby effect. And those resonances and vocals that he invokes on this, it's something that he actually ends up using, I think, a lot on Life of Pablo and Ye and Kids See Ghost. And it's Ty Dolla $ign doing that. And I'm always wants me to open the door, and I never open it. It's Ty Dolla $ign doing that, and we get that on Real Friends, which is one of my favorite parts of Real Friends, just a little echo of vocals that comes in, or the harmonies that come in. So I think this song points a lot in the direction that Kanye was thinking and wanted to go, and is one of the best non-album songs Kanye has made. And for people that have gone through something similar, it obviously can stir up some emotions. So this is a song I think very highly of. I hope you do as well, or will as well, if you go back and listen to it after watching this. Let me know what song you want me to do next for the number 4, Three Things. And I look forward to doing that and hearing from you all. Thank you very much. And if you're enjoying the show, we finally got monetized, which is awesome. It took a little bit of time, but I'm just very, very happy and thankful to you all for subscribing to get us over the 1,000 subscriber count. And then the fact that doing little bits of news can at least have some money coming in is just a nice feeling. So thank you very much. And I hope you all have a good day, whatever day this is for you. Cheers.